pre-filming a video at 2 o'clock in the morning because this is my life right now. Hey guys, what's up? It's Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, I make bookish content, travel content, and miscellaneous collection content. Today's video is going to be bookish related because I was tagged in a book tag and I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm very excited to do it. This is my second time being tagged in a tag, so I feel very loved. Let me open it because I don't actually know the title of this tag. So this tag is called the Library Loves tag, and I was tagged by Opal over at Opal Lesson, and I'll link her channel down below. Go check her out. She's a sweetie. She's great. I love her videos. And this tag is kind of just what the title suggests. It's a tag about your library, basically. So I have a very love-hate relationship with my local library, and it's because I love the library in general. Like, I love all the service it provides. I've read so many great books from libraries all over. It's just that my local library kind of sucks, and it's funny because it used to be in this little, like, hole-in-the-wall place, and then they're like, this is too small. Like, it was literally a health hazard. Like, God forbid that place got on fire, everyone would be dead. And I remember it closing, and people were pissed off because we didn't know where it was going, and they moved it to the property of my elementary school. So that's one reason it gets annoying, because, like, oh yeah, sure, let kids use the services and stuff. It just, my library is one big room. So when you're trying to concentrate, like, it's screaming children everywhere. They don't have a room to make a quiet space to separate yourself from that. And then the collection is just so small, but you know, we make do. I try to find the best of things, and hopefully this tag will help with that. So we're gonna get started. Again, I need to open it up because I don't actually know what the questions are. Okay, so when did you first go to the library and get a library card? I was probably in first grade. Well, no, I was in kindergarten when I first went to the library, but we went as a class. It wasn't until I was in first grade that I got a library card. And if I'm remembering correctly, this is a memory I forgot I had, and I'm only remembering this now because we're talking about it. But if I remember correctly, I think there was like a competition between the classes to see who, and it was between the first grade classes, and to see who can get the most students to get library cards. Because, like, I'm remembering getting my library card and giving, like, the receipt to my teacher to prove that I had it, and I think that my class won. Like, we got the pizza party or whatever it was. But yeah, and that was at the old library. That was at the little, when it was in the little hole in the wall. So, fun. Okay, number 2. How often do you use your library? So, funny enough, I just said I'm not a huge fan of my local library, but I do go there quite often. I take advantage of it when school is not in session. So if it's like their Thanksgiving break, if it's their winter break, summer break, you will see me there. And I'll just be reading there for hours because I like the quiet space. Also, just not being home, I don't get distracted as much, so I could read for hours, I can write for hours, whatever I'm deciding to do for the day. And sometimes I do get books. Like right now I have 4 library books out. I'm currently reading a library book. I'm almost done with it. I have 16 pages. So, like, I mean, I have qualms, but despite all the negative aspects, I still go because I can't help myself. Okay, 3. Have you ever had a late or lost library book? Y'all. Okay, so yes. Funny story, because this is a question, you know like that question in tags, it's a lot about libraries where they ask you, like, what's something you don't want the local librarian to know. So back in like 1st or 2nd grade, you know, I went to the library, got my 3 children's books, and I read them, and I remember I told my mom we need to bring these back. And those were during the days where you literally had to write on a library card. It wasn't all digital yet. I feel like I just aged myself, and I'm only like 22. Technology has come so far. But I remember telling her we have to give these back. And then we did it. Like, they were late. And my mom's like, don't worry, we'll do it. Don't worry, we'll do it. We'll do it. And I'm like, Mom! You know, freaking out. And then she stored them in her trunk. And we never saw them again. Literally. 2nd grade, and I think the library and its little hole in the wall closed down when I was in 5th grade. So these books were lost for 3 years. And they're still lost. We still don't know where they are. Like, I mean, my mom has a whole new car now. So, like, she probably lost those books when she got rid of that car. I would see one sometimes, and I think it was called the Magic Hat or something, and I remember it was, the hat itself was blue, and I would just see it, and I'm like, Mom, wasn't this due like 2 years ago? So who knows what our library bill was, but I mean, probably at that point it was lost for so long, like they didn't even catalog it anymore. But the good thing is, actually, so Chicago actually just got rid of late fees. So if you already had a book out that was late, they just erased it. And I think they're doing a new thing, because I realized, So this was due back on January 7th. It's January 20th right now. And then, like, I just got the email. They're like, yeah, we automatically renewed the book for you. So I think that's what they're doing to, like, combat that. They're just automatically renewing, and they give you a lot of renewals. Like, right now, they told me, they're like, you have 8 more renewals. And I was like, I mean, I have to give them back anyway. But, like, you know, I'll take it. 4 is, what is your favorite thing about your library? Okay, this is kind of a hard question because I could tell you my favorite thing about my school library. So I went to UW-Madison, and UW-Madison has a 24-hour library there. And that was my favorite part about that library. It was open for 24 hours, and there were multiple spaces for you to study. There was 3 floors. Technically, there was 9, but, like, library space was floors 1 through 3. And they had your designated quiet areas. Actually, it was designated silent areas, so you weren't allowed to talk at all. Then they had the quiet areas where, like, you could talk, but it had to be small whispers. And then in, like, the middle of the floor was just workspace. Like, so if you want to do a group project, that's where you would go, because then you could talk. And then there was one room just dedicated to digital media. They had one room that was just a cafe. And then some rooms were, and, like, each room had their bookshelves, and each bookshelf was dedicated to something. So, like, second floor to the left, like, that bookshelf in that room, poetry. Third floor to the right, the bookshelf in that room was for LGBT plus books. So, like that. So the variety in 24 hours, like, you know how many, like, all-nighters I pulled in that library for essays and stuff? There's no one there in the beginning of the year, so it's kind of freaky, but then final season, it's surprisingly packed. Like, people actually stay up until 6 in the morning, which is one of the worst things you could do if you have an exam that day. So don't do that. Actually go to bed because you will retain more information, but people do it, so don't do that. But for my local library, I don't really know what my favorite thing about it, other than, like, I can go there if I don't want to be distracted at home. Like I said, it's one big room, so when the kids come in, like, they are very, very loud. They're not told to be quiet, so they are being disruptive in people's spaces, because I've seen plenty of times where adults are trying to do their thing. Kids come in, start talking, the adults just get up angrily and leave. But it's like, I can't blame the librarians for that, because the construction workers, or the architect, I should say, the architect who designed the building didn't really give them a lot to work with. So I found ways to combat that. So I'll read my book before they walk in. School gets out by, like, 3. They'll come in, and then that's when I'll switch tasks. Like, I'll put the book down and start writing. And I'll do that for about 6 hours, because then by 6 o'clock, like, the majority of the kids are gone. Some kids linger, but it's like, quiet enough for me to go back to reading. So my favorite part about the local library, yeah, it has to be just, I'm not home, so I'm not as distracted. Okay, 5 is, are you a browser, or do you plan what you're taking out? I am a bit of both, because I usually go, if I want to take a library book out, I will go to the library with a specific book in mind, and then I'll find the book and then get lost in the sections, and rather than one book, I'll end up coming home with, like, 6, which is what happened. I went to the library to get the Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, or whatever it's called. They're on the floor there. And I came home with that. Here I am, the chemist, I'll give you the sun, I know why the caged bird sings, and gathered together in my name. So that worked out. Usually I come home with a bunch of graphic novels, but, you know. So, and then there's other times where I'm like, I'm not taking a book out. I get to the library, I browse anyway. But in those moments, I don't actually take a book out, so I don't know why I'm browsing, but I do. Number 6 is, name a book you took a chance on from the library. Like, does it mean, like, I took a chance and it was, like, a good book? Or I just took a chance in general? Because literally every book I get from the library is just taking a chance on them, because I'll go through my Goodreads TBR. Everything I add to my TBR, I expect to be at least 3 stars. I mean, like, I want them to be 5 stars. That's what I go into these books for. But the books that I expect to be no more than 3 stars, but I still want to read anyway, those are the books I get from the library. And most of the time, those books are 3 stars, but I've had very, very rare, I had some rare occasions where they were great. I know one book I took a chance on was The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. That was a few years ago. I'll Give You the Sun was another one, and that ended up exceeding my expectations. I guess that's the long answer to what should be shorter, but whatever. Number 7 is, what is the best book you've read from the library? That's a very hard question, because like I said, like, I go in with 3 out of 5 star expectations, but I've had my moments where they were like 4 or a 5-star read. I don't know. I can't really answer that question, so I guess, like, the books I talked about in the last question would be the books for this question. Number 8 is, have you ever taken the same book out multiple times? As an adult, no, but I did this a lot as a kid because I had all my favorite children's books, and I remember I would come home with the same book. My mom's like, didn't you just get this? But I didn't really care because I wanted to reread it again. And it's funny because the book I have in mind was about a teacher. So, like, it was kind of, because you know all those stories where everyone's an animal, like Franklin, how everyone's an animal. So it's like the same deal. And it was a kindergarten class, and the teacher was a border collie, and she was sick. So they had a substitute teacher. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it was that. And I've also had moments where, like, my first grade teacher would read us something, and then I liked the book so much that I would actually take it out of the library the next day. And the one I remember for that was kids were nasty. They treated their teacher like crap. So their teacher leaves, and then their substitute teacher's a witch. And they all hate her, but by the end of the book, they, like, get on their best behavior. And then at the end of the book, you find out it was the teacher just dressed as a witch. Again, I don't know what that's called, but I took that out a few times as well. Number 9 is, have you read a good book set in a library? I'm looking at my shelves because I can't actually think of one. I mean, like, unless they're behind me and I'm being kind of stupid. Can I cheat? Like, there's Library of Souls. Like, that's not the library we think of, but it was a literal Library of Souls. Number 10 is, have you used your library's ebook and audiobook options? I wanted to get started on their ebook options, I just didn't know how to, like, hook up to it. And then I have not used the audiobook option because I am not an audiobook reader. Number 11, which is the best library you've been to? Best library I've been to is probably the Harold Washington Library in downtown Chicago because it's huge and I could stare at it all day. I haven't been there for years, so I can't give, like, an actual descriptive, like, image of it. But if you're ever in Chicago and you're a huge reader, I would definitely check it out. What would make you use your local library more? This is going to sound mean, but a bigger selection and probably a renovation, honestly. A bigger selection because I often can't find things, and then a renovation because one whole room that everyone needs to share, and it's inconvenient for everyone. I could even see the librarians get sick of it sometimes, but the property unfortunately is not big enough. But will I still use the local library? Yes, because as often as I complain about it, like, I don't want them to close down. I see people work on job applications there all the time. They're always asking for computer help. You know, they're learning. The kids, as annoying as they can be when they're as loud as they are learning stuff, and, you know, they have some place to go after school, and we appreciate that. So I'm going to support as best as I can. That is it for this video. I'm supposed to tag people now, but everyone I would tag has done this tag already. So I tag all of you new viewers. I hope you guys have a good night, so I will see you guys later. Ciao, Titi.